to Conversations with Chris
and Crystal.
What are we talking about today?
We are talking about distracted driving. The ones that we hate.
Oh, yeah.
I'm afraid we're getting on and just rambling away on this, but it is just, I guess for me, I hope that people would check themselves and say, wait a minute, am I doing that? I hope I'm not doing that. And because I don't want to be that person either. I don't want to be the person with the distracted driving.
Yeah.
And I had somebody in front of me the other day. I think we were in the intersection. We had just gotten into the intersection, and he was going really, really slow, and he kind of just stopped. And I couldn't really see what was ahead of him, but I think the line had taken so long to move that he was on his phone because he was bored. And so by the time he got to be able to move, he was still looking at the phone and just didn't go. And I thought, you got to be kidding me. We're going to sit out here in the middle of this intersection, and then finally he did
the
go.
light change.
Yeah, it's like, dude, really? Come on. But I have noticed more and more. I used to always watch because we were hit by a drunk driver. I've always watched for the drunk driving thing, which is, they wander to the right and then they quickly overcompensate to the left, the far left of their lane, and then they'll just start wandering again back to the right, and it's pretty quick. I mean, it just keeps going, so you can watch this thing going back and forth. And I'm starting to realize some of those are on the cell phone. Mm-hmm. They're doing the same thing as a drunk driver would, being on the cell phone. So I kind of equate those two together. You're either drunk or on a cell phone.
Well, yeah, it's well, they used to call it driving under the influence, but
right.
But driving while impaired would be
good.
Almost a better definition, because being on your phone is impairing you.
It is. It really is. That's amazing.
And people are always thinking, this is the thing, they always think, oh, that won't happen to me.
Yes, let's go there. You just put everybody in jeopardy around you. There was a young guy where I worked, and being older, I am wiser, hopefully. I would
More experienced, for sure.
Well, for sure. One of the guys got back late from lunch, and he said, well, he was at the light and he was adjusting his stereo. Back in the day, adjusting his stereo, and he went on the red. He pulled out into the intersection on the red and hit a motorcycle and a rider. And I said to him, okay, so what does this tell you? Because obviously everybody was okay. They actually took her away in an ambulance. And he said, well, she waved to me as she left. I'm like, oh my God. Because people say it's not going to happen to me, and I got away with it, and it worked. Well, it doesn't matter.
But the thing is, everybody, back in our day, people used to be excited to learn to drive. Well,
yes.
These days it's not so much, but back then, you're excited to learn to drive, you learn to drive, and then I'm independent and all that stuff. But the problem is you need to keep in mind, this is a
weapon.
Yeah, it is a weapon. It is a big, 1 ton, I don't know how much they weigh, but, they're heavy. And it can kill somebody.
Yes.
It can hurt people.
Yes.
It can hurt you.
Yes.
You have to, people in this country get so freaked out about guns. Oh, guns kill people. No, they don't.
Cars kill people.
Stupid people kill people.
And stupid drivers
and
kill people.
Criminals kill people, but stupid drivers, and I'm not being judgmental, because we've all had a brain fart.
Yeah,
or whatever,
we've all made mistakes, absolutely. Yeah. But can you learn from them?
Yeah.
That's, dun, 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 dun.
This is why older people, I think, the retired people drive so slow. Well, partly is because they're scared of the younger people driving around them.
Sure, that and their ability to react has changed, and I feel saddened about that. I feel like, oh, please don't drive, or drive. Can we just tell everybody, don't be on the road with the 55 plus community for an hour today, every day.
Yeah,
Let them go out and drive.
Would you say it was like 9 o'clock in the morning, 9 to 10,
Yeah,
and then
somewhere
like
in
3
there,
to
yeah.
4.
Yeah,
when
something
they're
like
out?
that. Just
Yeah.
you know, everybody stay home. Let these poor, and that was the thing here in Arizona because we're a retirement, you know, capital of the
Oh, yeah,
world.
we have retirement villages
Yeah.
everywhere.
I think there was a day when our population wasn't this big.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
no,
and they could
yes.
come here and drive all over the place and felt like they were in a hobby farm or a Disneyland. You know, they could just go wherever they wanted and
Not worry about crazy
Yeah.
people, but
Yeah.
a lot of people from California are coming over here now. And,
Crazy people come. They have come.
But conversely, on the other side of the fence there, what irritates me is people who don't drive the speed limit. They'll drive, it's 45, not 35. And that just
yes,
annoys
yes,
me to no end.
yes.
It's like, why are you going so darn slow?
Yeah, they used to have it in Minnesota. They had a minimum and a maximum.
Oh.
And they don't have that anymore. I don't think even Minnesota has it anymore. It used to be if you were if you were on a freeway, it would be 65 is your max, and 55 is your minimum. Yeah, and I think that was really helpful, especially in this community where there's so many diverse situations going on and so many diverse cultures and all of that. Everybody has their own, you know, twisted idea of how it works out there, and I think it would be nice to have a maximum and a minimum.
Yeah,
Noted.
yeah, it's just, but it does get frustrating sometimes. And then our winter visitors who come down, they kind of seem to have a sense of entitlement on the street.
Literally, my problem is I'm driving around with all of these 55 plus community people, and I drive better than they do. And I'm going, how is that possible? You know what I'm saying?
I wonder if
Yeah.
it's people who come from
Other states, okay.
where the speed
Yeah.
limits are lower, because they have hazards like snow and rain and
True,
things,
inclement weather.
and we don't have all of that
We
all
don't.
the time. I mean,
We
we have
don't.
rain certain seasons, but
Yeah.
we have higher speed limits than some of these towns, because I know, like in Iowa,
do,
it
we
was
do.
like 35 miles an hour in the city, you know,
Okay.
and here it's like 45, but we're also spread out. Whereas
we are.
all these other cities, it's like everything is contained, you know.
And they have hills and valleys.
And you can get anywhere
turns.
in like 10 minutes in those places.
I
But
know,
here,
I know.
It takes like 20 minutes to get anywhere.
Get across town. I know. I remember when we first moved here and having people say, "Oh, you're so far," and I'm like, "How far is far?" I mean, you know,
Yeah.
in the other Midwestern states, you can get anywhere easily, fast. But it was a road system thing. Those roads were built long before this one became
True.
a state, and we're still going, oh, we need to build more roads. I mean, more freeways.
Well, and the other thing is, in other states, they have better public transportation. Like a bus will come along every 5 minutes in
True,
Chicago.
true,
Here, it's 30 minutes, 35 minutes,
Yeah.
40 minutes
Yeah.
before another bus
Yeah.
comes by.
Yeah.
So you miss one, you're standing out there in the heat. And then, you know, like
true.
New York has a subway.
Right. You could just go there, get on.
San
and away you
Francisco
go.
has
Yeah.
the BART, which, you know, it's like a subway, but above ground, and then it goes under the
Yeah.
ocean and then pops up back up in Oakland or something.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, and it's a lot easier for them. But here we had an idiot governor a few years back who decided to put in a train for us, and it's just made things worse.
It has. It's been a real. I don't know why. How can you not go to the Midwestern states and look at their road construction and figure it out and come
Yeah.
back and say, hey, this is what we're going to do. It just makes sense. But we are actually a grid, a mile grid, so there are no going around the blocks here. You go 1 mile, 1 mile, 1 mile, 1 mile to get around because there's no through streets in between. There might be one or two, but your guess is as good as mine if it goes through or
And
not.
a lot of times, if there are, you're like this to get anywhere.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's,
because they try to keep people from just going through. And that was the nice thing in the Midwest. I mean, we were a grid too, but we had all of the little residential streets, you know, nicely lined up, and you go from this main road through any of those residential streets to get over to the other one if you needed to peel off. because there were, you know, road construction, or there was, you know, an accident or something going on. There were ways to get around it.
Yeah.
Here we don't have it.
No, you're
we
just
don't
stuck.
have it. You're stuck. You really are. And people do. I remember people calling and saying, yeah, I'm stuck in this traffic. I'm not going to get there on time.
Here's another thing that irritates me.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah.
Okay. Right now, we are having, well, at the time that we're filming this, the Arizona Renaissance Festival is going on, which is out east. So what did they decide to do? They decided to close the freeway on the weekends. So people can't get out that way. Well, I think they can get out that way, but coming back, coming back, they have to take Baseline or Southern, and so it's always backed up. It's like, why did you choose to do that when there's an event over there?
Yeah.
Why don't you wait until April or May, you know, and do it then?
That's a good point.
Because they just, and anywhere you go, whenever they're doing street repairs or construction or something, it's every parallel street they've torn up. So you can't take a separate parallel street to get where you're going.
I'm like, okay, which one should we take today? But yesterday I was there and there was construction. No, yesterday they had it all blocked off. You know, the other day you couldn't make left turns anywhere.
Yeah.
It's just craziness.
I don't know who they put in charge, but
obviously not a woman. I would say she would have a little bit more upstairs going, okay, guys, you know, we're gonna figure this out.
Yeah, you got to have ways for people to get around.
Yeah, you do, and it really has been difficult. And you don't find out until you're right on top of it.
Yeah,
you know,
and then you try to escape. Oh, I'm going to turn here and then go down this other street, and then you find out it's torn up.
Yep. That's been it. And it's really hard too for the snowbirds to deal with the torn up streets and things like that, because they can barely figure out, you know, where the orange cones are going, you know, or are they on this side or on this side, or are we making this turn? And I've seen some interesting turns around those. It's like, oh my gosh, you guys. My all-time favorite. Okay, that's right, I just saw this. You know, when you go to the post office and you can go into the parking lot of the post office and, you know, park, or you can go through that little drive-through where the boxes are standing and you can throw your letters in and then you get out. It's called a one-way. One way. And you go in, you come in this area here, you go and you put your mail in, and then you get out this way. This is the in, this is the out. There is a sign over there that says do not enter. So this guy was in front of me and he's going really slow. And I usually can note that it's somebody who doesn't know where they're going. And they're not sure where they're going to turn. They're not sure what they're doing. And we also here have left turn lanes. So if you have, you know, 2 lanes, you know, going back and forth, and then in the middle is a left turn lane. And that's a whole nother story. But anyway, this guy, instead of getting in the left turn lane, he turned from the left lane suddenly into the oncoming traffic in the post office. And I'm like, dude. And I think he even went, and I did not stay to look. I kept driving. But I think he went through the drive-through the wrong way, and there was somebody there, and they saw him coming.
Did they honk?
And I don't know. Nobody honks here. I do, but nobody else honks.
Oh,
I don't know what it is with the honking thing here. It's like all these screwy things will happen, and nobody honked. I'm like, you're kidding, right?
Well, I think a few years ago they made it illegal to honk.
Oh, that could be then. See that?
That is ridiculous.
That is ridiculous. You gotta let people know where you are.
Yeah. Because if somebody's coming right at you, what are you supposed to just sit there and go, oh, hit me?
Yeah. Playing poker. Hit me.
I don't think they enforce it anymore, the no honking thing, because it was ridiculous.
Well, it is ridiculous. My other personal favorite, that remember when they used to have, if there is a pedestrian anywhere in the crosswalk, you cannot cross over it with your car. That it lasted about 2 weeks.
Well, yeah, now it's, if they're, like, say you're making a right-hand turn and they're walking across the street, when they get to the middle, you can turn.
Right, if they're not in your section. Yeah. Of course, that didn't work either. Because people are still, I can't believe it, they're just driving right next to a body. And you're going, really? Seriously? What part of this do you not understand? And they had it on the news. They, you know, talked about it. But I remember when they said, you know, if there's somebody in any part of the crosswalk, you cannot cross over that crosswalk. And that was interesting. But like I said, it lasted about 2 weeks. And then they came on the news and said, okay, now this is what we're going to do. You're going to be in your section.
Yeah.
But I still marvel.
Part of the problem too is we're not a state where people do a lot of walking typically, especially in the summer because
too
it's
hot.
so hot.
Yeah.
And it's so far to get anywhere. I mean, it's like a mile to get anywhere.
I know,
So-
it is. And now we do have bikes.
Yeah.
And they're always in the wrong side of
Yeah,
the street.
bicycles are another thing. Like
Nobody knows how to use them.
I used to ride a bike years ago, and they would always tell you, share the road.
Yeah.
Don't ride 5 across because then
Right.
you're blocking in
Right.
the way of the traffic.
Right,
And it's
right.
ridiculous. You could get yourself killed. And don't ride opposite to traffic, which I used to think, why is that? Because it would make sense to be able to see somebody coming towards you. You could get out of the way.
Right, right.
But as a driver, it's creepy see somebody.
It is. My favorite is when you're making a left turn and this person is on a bike over here on this side of the street. Yeah, is coming, this way, and you're watching traffic this way. Mm-hmm. You're not watching for this guy on a moving.
Yeah, and they'll
Target,
turn
yeah.
left from the left turn. lane.
Yes.
And it's like,
yeah.
that is insane.
No, you guys.
Because they don't want to take the time to cross at the crosswalk.
Yeah, they don't. They just
it's-
want to go. And now we're getting the motorized bikes. So, I mean, they are motorized. They are actually a motor vehicle, and they have to be with traffic, not against traffic. Because, why? It's because of the hand signals that we used to do for left, right, and stop. And you do that with your left hand. And so they have to be in the same side so we can see their signals.
Yeah, because if you're
Yeah.
riding opposite to traffic.
Right. They can't see your signals. You're behind them. And so but it amazes me how many adults I see driving on the wrong side of the street or riding on the wrong side of the street. And it's like, people, really, where did you learn how to ride a bike? Yeah, I mean, they actually, well, no, I think I was in, I don't know, what grade was I in? 4th grade, I think it was. They had a special class for, you brought your bike and they taught you they had a little road mapped out there in the parking lot so that you could ride your bike and practice and learn how to, and get off and walk it. When you are a pedestrian, you get off and you walk the bike. It's amazing how how lazy we have become.
Because when you're riding your bike in the street and you come to a crosswalk, if you are in the crosswalk, you are walking that bike in the
Yes,
crosswalk.
yeah.
You can ride
It's not
on
a
the
mark.
outside of it, but
Yeah.
you cannot.
Walk on the inside of it,
Yeah.
or ride on the inside of
Yeah.
it. Yeah, it's amazing. I just don't understand why people don't.
Common courtesy.
Among
other things.
Well, that and brains. And I remember a little boy coming up. I saw a woman in an SUV, so she's very high up, and she was, positioned to take a right turn, and he came up on the sidewalk next to her, and she was positioned for her right turn. I mean, she was like here, he's here, and she was looking over here for the traffic. She's not looking at him, and not to mention that he's also shorter than her car. But I could see him, and I thought, oh man, what's going to happen here? And she did happen to look that way, saw him, and waited. Realized that she couldn't go because she was going to go as soon as the traffic was done. And that, again, you're in the wrong position. I've had people yell at me, like, hey, how come you went? Well, because I didn't see you because you were in the wrong, part of the street. You're coming the wrong way. And I'm not looking that way. I'm looking over here just so I don't get hit.
I had that happen to me one time too. I was driving and there was a bicyclist, and I'm watching the bicyclist, and I got into my parking garage, and then this lady came up to me at the elevator, and she says, "Why didn't you let me in?" I said, "What?
Who are you?
I didn't see you. I was watching this bicyclist." And,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, that cracks me up about your accident. The guy said, I didn't see you. That's a bright yellow car. Oh my God.
Well, yeah.
That's too funny.
It's like, the light turned green. I said, yeah, it was green for all of us. And
Yeah. And you have to watch out. And that's another big problem I have with the left turners. It's like you watch them, you're coming down the street and you're watching them sit there with sometimes with their left turn signal.
Yeah,
sometimes they don't even
sometimes.
use that either. But they're sitting there and you're thinking, what are they thinking? And sure enough, they'll just jump right in front of you because they're tired of sitting there. Really, that's all it is. They who cares what traffic is coming or going? I'm just going to go. Oh my gosh, you
And
guys.
another thing about the signals, my ex-boss from Honey Baked Ham, when I had all my car repair issues back then, he would give me a lift sometimes, and he would just cut in front of people. He wouldn't signal or anything. He says, "Well, I figured by the time they get up here, I'll already have gotten into the lane." And it's like, that's not the point.
It's not the point. Oh my gosh. And it's every man for himself out here. It amazes me, if I turn on a blinker, and I have to laugh. I think sometimes when you turn a blinker on, people, you hear in this state, everybody panics. Oh my gosh, what is it? What does it mean?
And there are some people who turn it on and leave it.
Yeah, that's your
Are you
next
coming
personal
over?
favor.
What are you doing?
Yeah, where are you going to go? What are you thinking? But if they get in that left turn lane and they're waiting, and like I said, they'll just jump right in front of you at the last minute because I think they're just tired of waiting and they don't care, and they just jump out there and
they'll stop for me.
yeah, they'll stop for me, and then all it takes is that one time idiot that is impaired in some way and doesn't see them. Yeah, that's exactly it. So, so really, we just love to hear ourselves talk about it, because I hope that you second guess yourself or take a look a little bit more stringently at how I try to do that. Jeff has a commercial driver's license, and he's just like, everything is exactly in this way.
But yeah, we all make mistakes, like we said, but just, try to be more cognizant of the fact that you are driving a weapon.
You are,
and
you are, and to be more mindful of it.
Yeah, and other people, they may not realize that they're driving a weapon, so you have to be proactive about protecting yourself.
Yes.
And them.
Absolutely. Yes.
So, yeah.
So, well, once again,
remember
to take care of yourself, because nobody else will, especially when you're driving.